It's BBC Newsline, I'm Tara Mills. The headlines. The community in County Fermanagh comes together to remember the mother and her two children murdered in Maguiresbridge.
Tributes have been paid to Vanessa White and her children James and Sarah by the people who love them.
James and Sarah were very much part of our family. We were so close to those children. Loved them. We have very fond memories of them, and they will last a lifetime.
And at the children's former primary school in Maguiresbridge, people are signing a book of condolence.
Everybody is affected in the whole community. I see neighbours of the Rutledges, I see past pupils, I see parents, current and past, and it's just so unbelievable. So hard to take in.
Also on the programme, eel fishermen on Lough Neagh fear the end of the traditional industry because of the ongoing pollution problems. In West Belfast, they're getting ready to enjoy the 37th Féile and Phobail this weekend.
No shortage of seats right now, but Sunday's All-Ireland football final between Donegal and Kerry is an 83,000 sellout. As the scramble for tickets intensifies, BBC Newsline has the very latest from Croke Park in Dublin.
And we've had plenty of dry weather today and some sunshine. Will it be like that this weekend? I'll have your full forecast shortly.
Welcome to the programme. We're at the end of a week where a family and a community remain in deep shock over the murder of Vanessa White and her two children, James and Sarah, in Maguiresbridge in County Fermanagh. In the next hour, a vigil is being held in the local primary school, remembering the victims and bringing the small rural community together in solidarity. Today, the teenager's childminder told us James and Sarah were like members of her own family, and she described Vanessa as a strong woman who always put her children first. Let's speak to our reporter Elaine Mitchell, who is again in Maguiresbridge for us this evening.
I'm here in the grounds of Maguiresbridge Primary School, which is where the vigil is taking place tonight in memory of Vanessa, James and Sarah. This has been put together by the village's Rural Development Association because they felt that this community needed something to focus on so they could come together and support each other at this difficult time. Because this is a village that is reeling from the shocking murders that have shook it to its core. And today, I've been talking to the people who are starting to navigate the grief that this has caused.
I started looking after James and Sarah from they were both 3 months old and continued doing that for about 8 years. That's when I first met Vanessa.
You must have known them incredibly well.
I did.
Tell me about James and Sarah. What were they like?
James and Sarah were great. Very close to each other. They had a great relationship, and I suppose like any other kids, they had their moments as well, but no, behind it all, they were great children and very close to each other.
Jenny was one of many who laid tributes at the scene where Vanessa, James and Sarah were killed.
I left a bunny for Sarah because when I was minding Sarah always had a wee bunny. That wee bunny was maybe hid in her school bag an odd day so that she could have it when she got to our house later on. She just loved her wee bunny, so I thought I'll have to leave a bunny for Sarah. And then for James, he was a big Arsenal fan, and that came from my own boys, Jordan and Adam, because they supported Arsenal. And then, of course, James, he wanted to do the same.
Maguiresbridge Primary School should be in hibernation for summer. But today, its doors were opened so that the people here have a place to go to help them deal with the grief that's wrapped around this village and is felt for miles.
Vanessa was a really devoted parent to James and Sarah. Everybody is affected in the whole community. I see neighbours of the Rutledges, I see past pupils, I see parents, current and past, and it's just so unbelievable, so hard to take in.
You know, whenever you get news like what we heard the other day, you draw your loved ones close because you recognise just how impactful this is.
The community here is pulling together, but the loss of 3 treasured members is very raw.
Devastated. Completely devastated.
A complete shock.
Complete shock. Complete shock.
Jenny Bowles speaking to Elaine Mitchell. Let's speak now to child safeguarding expert Marcella Leonard. You can hear from the people who spoke to Elaine today the massive ripple effect that something like this happens in such a small rural community.
In some ways it is that case where you just can't talk about the words of how it is such a ripple effect. It just goes on because, you know, every child has, whether it's school and the sports they're involved in, you know, Vanessa in terms of what she was involved with, her work colleagues, again, the coaching that she was involved in. And it's just every person will have had an experience. But also just living in the community. Maguiresbridge is a small wee village, so they will have been very much part of that community. So it is a ripple effect, but it's a ripple effect that goes way beyond Maguiresbridge, beyond County Fermanagh, very much all of Northern Ireland, but also into Ireland and beyond, around how can this have happened again, but also it's the violent nature of it that really shocks people, and trying to come to terms with it is very, very difficult.
I mean, Marcella, you're a professional, but you also have a deeply personal connection to Maguiresbridge. Your cousin Concepta was killed in similar circumstances. Her son Connor was stabbed, but mercifully survived. Whenever you look at these cases, how difficult is it to comprehend that such similar cases would happen in one small village?
I think that was probably the biggest shock for everybody, is that this small village, which honestly is a community. It's a lovely place to live. It is a quiet, we're surrounded by farming. Everybody supports everybody. But to have had such 2 very violent experiences of death, and, you know, in Concepta's case, it was herself and her adult son who lives with a learning disability, but also then on the other side of the village, literally more or less same distance out, to now have a woman with 2 children, again, killed in quite a violent way. That's a lot for any village to cope with, that fundamentally is a village that normally would be hugely welcoming, supportive and caring to everybody. So it's a lot for one village to have to cope with.
And Vanessa White has been described this week as a very strong woman. Similar sentiments were made about Concepta. What does that say to us about our perceptions of people who find themselves in this awful position?
I think for me, it's probably one of the things I continually try to raise in terms of why we need a wider response to domestic violence and abuse in domestic settings and incidents, is that we cannot identify and say that it's one type of person who's going to be a victim. Strong women who externally are maybe holding very authoritative sort of positions of trust, who are maybe senior managers in their professions, who are succeeding very well, are as also capable of ending up that whenever they enter the home that they feel vulnerable and they feel at risk. So I think the important thing for me is, and a key message is about, don't believe that it's a certain person who's going to become a victim. It's really important that we recognise any person, and that also does include the gender, but it is mostly women who will become victims and could become victims. But that also then leads into how do we respond to that in terms of what services and resources needs to be available properly in order to meet that.
And just on that point, what could the government be doing better when it comes to particularly the perpetrators and education around that?
I think certainly one of the things I would notice that has improved since Concepta's murder has been putting domestic violence on the strategic plans, I think, has helped. Certainly there's a greater awareness where you have a lot of councils, sports organisations in their safeguarding training raising the issue of domestic violence and abuse. Lots of investment with sports clubs around with young men, boys, around, you know, their attitudes and looking at misogynistic attitudes. So you can certainly see an investment in the education, and I think that's really important. Where I am hugely disappointed is I still do not see government putting the same amount of effort into, but what are you actually doing for whenever somebody does come forward? People are still ringing me and going, well, what can I do now? This person has disclosed to me, they've shared to me that they're in a concerning situation. Where's the help? The money, the resources, the investment in services that needs to be there is not happening, and that's the most disappointing thing that I have found. And I was so concerned. I spoke to the Justice Minister directly myself. I asked to speak to her, to say that to her, and that did not reassure me at all. So education is certainly happening, which I think is good for prevention. But we need better services in terms of for victims. But we also need to do a lot more in the criminal justice system for those who perpetrate these offences.
OK, Marcella, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us this evening. And there'll be coverage of the vigil on our website later this evening. You can also download the BBC News app. Some of today's other news now, and the fishing industry in Lough Neagh fears pollution could end eel fishing in the loch. It's had to stop for the first time in living memory due to the quality of the catch. It comes as a consultation on controversial water pollution measures has closed. Some farming bodies say the draft Nutrients Action Programme goes too far. Others say something must be done. Our Agriculture and Environment correspondent Louise Cullen reports.
I have to say, it's unprecedented for our fishing season to close down effectively.
There are other fish in Lough Neagh, but this eel fisherman is worried.
With all we've gone through for generations and the fight to maintain the right to fish in Lough Neagh, that we've got to a stage where pollution is the thing that potentially could bring this to a close, and that cannot be allowed to happen.
Many things may be affecting the eel, but agricultural water pollution's a problem right across Northern Ireland, and the Nutrients Action Programme aims to address it. It's a legal requirement, and the draft proposals include making expensive specialist equipment mandatory for all farms by 2030, changing slurry spreading limits so more intensive farms must seek permission, and planting buffer zones to hold pollution back. It's been contentious, with calls in and outside the Assembly for it to be scrapped and reworked.
What concerns us is the scale and the speed at which they plan to push this on. We believe there are win-wins that we can go, and there are ways to improve our water quality without threatening the biggest sector in the Northern Ireland economy and undermining our food security.
I have to say to all the political parties, your support for Lough Neagh can't just be seasonal. It can't be just when you see the blue-green algae. You need to support me as Minister all year round, but also you need to support the farmers. I need the cash so I can support farmers in a just transition.
Some have changed their methods but understand the concerns.
I would love to see incentive-based change, encouragement for change, rather than penalties and that way for change. If there was a grant to put in mixed species swords, maybe more people might do it if they saw it working.
Fishermen say Lough Neagh can't wait.
Then you look across that and you think to yourself, it's lovely, but it's polluted. And that's sad, that saddens me.
You're angry?
Absolutely.
Now, the First Minister, Michelle O'Neill, says she's saddened that Stormont's executive parties are being excluded from taking part in tomorrow's Belfast Pride parade. Organisers made the decision in protest over a ban on puberty blockers for under 18s. But some LGBT politicians are still attending tomorrow in a personal capacity. This comes as the ambulance service here says it will not be participating in Pride. In an official capacity, they say staff are welcome to attend voluntarily. Here's our political reporter, Brendan Hughes.
Beaming with pride, this new window at Belfast City Hall celebrates the LGBT community, and the build-up to this year's parade has been just as colourful. Barred from tomorrow's party are the four in the executive in protest over a ban on puberty blockers. That means no First Minister.
I've always been an advocate for equality and human rights, so it does make me sad that they have taken the decision that they have taken. Whilst they celebrate Pride on Saturday, I hope that next year that I also will be celebrating Pride with them. I will do so this Saturday in my own way.
But some are attending without the party banners, including Stormont's most prominent gay politician.
I'll be there with my parents, and so many people will be there. Thousands of people are going to be there for many different reasons. I think that's great to see.
As for criticism from unionists over the civil service marching,
they have stood against equality for LGBTQIA+ people throughout the history of their parties, and that's why I'll be there tomorrow, because I'm not going to see the rolling back of rights and equality for LGBTQIA+ people.
Belfast Pride's organisers say their stance on Stormont is about supporting transgender people.
We are standing by our trans community. You know, we have to, because our politicians don't give a damn.
For many marching tomorrow, Pride is all about tackling prejudice. So for campaigners, they hope by showing Stormont some tough love, they can help shine a light on their cause. Brendan Hughes, BBC Newsline at Belfast City Hall.
Now, it's billed as the biggest community arts festival on the island of Ireland, and that means thousands of people will flock to West Belfast for Féile and Phobail, which starts this weekend. Our arts correspondent Robbie Meredith has more.
Final preparations for Féile, which has grown from small roots in the late 80s to a major annual event. And one of those there at the very start will be leading his popular walking tours of Belfast City Cemetery for the final time this year.
Féile was founded at a time when the demonisation of West Belfast was at its height. And so Féile was an expression of what I call the internal light in our community, the creative, artistic element of our community.
Féile has been controversial at times. This week, the Arts Council asked for its logo to be removed from a sports event named after the former IRA Chief of Staff, Joe Cahill. But there are hundreds of gigs, exhibitions, talks and tours coming up.
This year we've over 640 events across 50 different venues right across the whole city, and we're expecting around 100,000 people coming from right across city, locally, nationally and international visitors into Belfast. We see people coming from all over the world to Féile every year.
And for the first time tomorrow, part of Féile is dedicated to all things mind, body and soul.
We have things like breathwork, yoga, mindfulness, we have life coaches, relationship coaches, we have saunas, ice baths, loads of stuff for the kids, and we have over 60 exhibitors coming with all their wares.
So a chilled start to some busy summer weeks across West Belfast. Robbie Meredith, BBC Newsline.
The biggest weekend in Gaelic football is upon us. Nicola McCarthy is here with the sport. Hi, Nicola.
Hi, Tara. It is indeed. Yes, a huge weekend of sport indeed as well. Tara, good evening, everyone. The final of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship this Sunday sees Donegal, the Ulster champions, against Kerry, who are looking to add to their record tally of 38 titles. Now, let's join Mark Sidebottom, who is at Croke Park. Mark.
Evening, Nicola. Evening, everyone. I said this morning on Good Morning Ulster that if the city of Florence has Michelangelo's David, then the village of Fossa in the kingdom has Kerry's David. David Clifford. He is the name on everyone's lips, but this match so much more than just Kerry's poster boy of Gaelic football. It's Northwest versus Southwest. It is the returning Jack O'Connor versus the returning Jim McGuinness. It's the purist versus the perfectionist. And it is, of course, David Clifford versus Michael Murphy.
Dances around one. Again, it's looking for Murphy. Murphy's got it. Murphy's looking for goal. What a start, Donegal! What a start, Donegal!
He's the celestial satellite around which Donegal football has orbited for fully a decade and a half, having done it all and won it all.
Up goes Sam!
Glenswilly's gentle giant segued seamlessly into media work as a much-respected BBC sport analyst.
You took him from the BBC, and by God, he has repaid you in spades.
Brilliant to have him. I'm delighted we have him and you don't have him. And and he's been immense for us, you know. And anybody that's come in, younger lads, he's been great with them as well and everything. So no, it's fantastic just to have the footballer, but also the leader.
Obviously Jim coming back last year was a huge lift to the county, not just the team. I think everything, you know, as I said, there's no guarantee in life that you're going to win anything, you know, no matter what. But when Jim's involved, there's a good guarantee that you're going to compete. For Michael to come back this year is just giving everything an extra drive again and an extra lift. You know, two phenomenal people, and just Donegal means the world to them.
Ball over the top to David Clifford. He's got to be stopped. He's not. What a goal!
This season alone, several of Ulster's Goliaths have fallen at the feet of Kerry's David.
David is very experienced at this stage. I think he's going to play in his 5th All-Ireland final, so he's very experienced and is passing his leadership on to maybe the younger lads inside the camp as well, which is also very important. Look, he's been phenomenal for us all year.
I don't think we're a one-man team the way some people try to portray us, you know. Most of them are going to their 4th All-Ireland. A couple of them, like Paul Ganey and Paul Murphy, are going to their 6th All-Ireland. So it's a good bit of experience, that always helps.
The comeback of Jack and Jim. How will the fairy tale end? Kinda gets you excited, and nowhere more excited at the moment than the football mad county of Donegal. Here's our Northwest correspondent, Kieran Turish.
We'll have our own Las Vegas in the hills of Donegal.
Donegal is at fever pitch as the county is covered in green and gold ahead of the big match on Sunday. At this school just across the border in Bridgend, they gathered to send a good luck message to Oisín Gallen. The Donegal star teaches here.
There's absolutely confidence everywhere in Donegal.
Well, the only issue I have is tickets. I think a lot of people are the same.
In the O'Neill's factory in Strabane, where they make the jerseys for the county teams throughout Ireland, there's been a rush to buy all sorts of Donegal merchandise.
As flags, car flags, flying out the door. Basically, at the minute, if you put Donegal in anything, we'll sell it.
For this Donegal family, there was some last-minute shopping in time for Sunday.
I think they're going to win. They're brilliant and stuff, and they're hammering everything.
In Glenties, where the manager's family have a cafe, his mother says he's sharing his game plan with no one outside the camp.
He'll be keeping the head down all right, and he'll be saying very little and he'll be telling me nothing.
Everyone is behind the county, including these music students in Letterkenny, who wrote a special song to cheer on the team. Back in Bridgend, the fans are confident.
This Sunday there might be some ups and downs, but they're definitely going to win.
Yeah, it's incredible to make it this far. I think Sam's going to come back home to the hills of Donegal.
So, as you've probably guessed already, in this part of the world there can only be one winner on Sunday. But just in case you're in any doubt, who's going to win this weekend?
I'm not so sure. Could be 50-50. It's live on BBC Two and the iPlayer from 3 o'clock. Nicola.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Now, the British and Irish Lions have never won back-to-back tours of Australia, but that could change with the second test in Melbourne tomorrow. Andy Farrell's men can clinch the series and make history. Nigel Ringland reports.
The Lions indulged in a bit of cricket at the MCG this morning. Tadhg Furlong probably should stick to rugby. Light relief before the serious business of attempting to go down in the record books.
We're the privileged ones that get the opportunity to do something special and hopefully create a bit of history. There's a determined Australian side that's in our way that's going to try and stop us to do that, so it's a hell of a test.
The iconic MCG Stadium has hosted some of the world's greatest sporting events. The Olympics were here in 1956 and the Commonwealth Games half a century later. And it's the annual venue for the Boxing Day Test match involving the Australian cricket team. The Lions have never played a match here before, but in front of over 90,000 people on Saturday, they're going to have a chance to write their own little bit of history in the cathedral of Australian sport. But Australia are now straining to get off the leash after their defeat last weekend.
I feel as if we probably didn't play the sort of footy we wanted to play. We didn't fire as many shots as we would have liked. So they want to wrap up the series and we want to keep the series alive. So there's no doubting there's a lot on the line for both teams, and that's something which really excites you. Playing professional sport, there's a lot of pressure on, and it's what you love about it.
And this Australian Coliseum is a fitting stage for part 2 in this epic battle. Nigel Ringland, BBC Newsline, Melbourne.
Now, the Armoy road races have gotten underway this evening, and it's the final event of the road racing season. Let's cross live to Stephen Watson.
Nicola, thank you. This event may take place in the small village of Armoy, but it's a road race that has gained a big reputation since its inception in 2009. We've had qualifying all day, and the first two races have just finished. The first one was won by Mike Brown in the Super Sport class, and the second, the Super Twins, by Northern Ireland's Paul Jordan, and I spoke to him afterwards.
Hopefully, yes, it started something for the rest of the weekend, so yeah, I really enjoyed that race. I knew I had a bit of pace, to be honest, and once I got to the front, I just knew just keep banging out the laps.
What is it about this small race in the tiny village of Armoy that you enjoy so much?
Yeah, you just have to look at the historic names that's been here and the history that comes along with it, and to be a part of that, it's very special.
And here, big race day tomorrow, one more tonight, of course. But how much are you looking forward to the main race day tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the big race. To be fair, there's obviously David Toll's not here, Michael's not here, so it gives someone new a chance. So hopefully I can put my name to that.
Well, we've already had lots of drama around this exciting 3-mile circuit. And tomorrow, if you can't make it to Armoy when thousands of spectators are expected, you can watch it all live for the very first time across the BBC, internationally on the BBC Sport website and across the UK on the BBC iPlayer. If you're coming tomorrow, get here early because roads close at 9 o'clock for another 12 races. I'll see you then, but for now, back to you, Nicola.
Thank you, Stephen. Now, finally, in football, Dungannon Swifts made history last night in the UEFA Conference League second qualifying round with a 1-0 win against Vaduz, the club's first ever away victory in European competition. It finished 0-0 between Zalgiris and Linfield and goalless also between Larne and Pristina. Now, tonight, Derry, they face Bohemians at 7:45 with live coverage on BBC Radio Foyle. Plenty of sport to look forward to this weekend. Tara.
Certainly is. Nicola, thanks very much. The Giraffes enjoying a greyish skies today. Barra, how's the weekend looking?
Oh, well, it was great, but at least it was dry. And we have a lot of dry weather in the forecast for the weekend. Lots of outdoor events happening, lots of sport as well. We do have a few showers in the forecast too, so not completely dry, but hit and miss. This evening dry, though, apart from western areas where we're likely to see a few showers overnight. But another mild night, temperatures dropping to about 10 or 11 degrees at their lowest. Tomorrow then, a lot of dry weather in the forecast and a little bit more sunshine than today, but not completely dry, I'm afraid. There will be a few showers. To begin with, though, lots of dry weather. The westerly winds begin to freshen up a little bit, driving some showers across. A few of them could be heavy, possibly with the rumble of thunder, but they should pass fairly quickly. Lots of dry weather in between the showers, some sunshine coming out, and like today, temperatures should reach around 20 to maybe 21 degrees where we get the best of the sun. Still a few showers into tomorrow evening as well. Most of those will give way to drier conditions for a time overnight into Sunday. Sunday, a bit of a similar picture to tomorrow. We'll see the cloud gathering at first, bringing some showers again, which could be heavy. But there should be some sunnier skies developing by the end of the day. So not too bad if you manage to avoid those showers over the weekend. In the sunshine, it should be quite pleasant with temperatures of 19 or 20 degrees. A little bit warmer into the beginning of next week, but at times cloudy, again, with the odd spot of wet weather.
Barra, thanks very much. That's it for now. Our late news is at 10:30. Thanks for watching this week. Bye-bye.